Look. Okay, 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. I ain't never seen a city sleep. You can really hit a city breathe. They be saying we ain't got culture, they just don't know what it really means. No, we gotta represent heavy underrated, yeah, we gotta make a scene. No shade to the other guys, but you can't deny we the one to be. Capital city, the map looking pretty when we on it. So community driven, the people we living with, loving each other. That's all that we seek.
Larry Johnson, my brother, how are you?
Justin, I'm doing great, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing well.
It's an honor, man. It's an honor to be here, man, and to be able to chop it up with you today, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Listen, we've been working together, going on a decade of work.
Yes.
Right. Working both on Lansing Promise.
Yes.
And other work.
Yes.
Right. When you and I first met, I was young. I was a whole lot thinner. I had less kids. But we had this heart, right? This heart for what would it look like for the Lansing Promise to ensure that every kid had hope and a future, right? I remember a statement that you made in that first month that we even knew each other. You said, Justin, this is gonna work because we're making it work.
Yes.
That I'm with you until the wheels fall off.
Yes.
Larry, I had never heard that concept before, but you had a heart for Lansing's kids and continue to from well before Lansing Promise. We can get into Lansing Promise in a bit. But Larry, if you're up for it, let's talk a bit about your heart with this Brotherhood Against Drugs and your heart for this community. Really, what's driven you even before you and I met around Promise?
Well, you know, Justin, for me, it started back in March 2nd, 1989. Arrested, facing 20 to 40 years in prison. Everybody had given up on me. And to this day, I look at, it's like Jonah in the Bible, right? When the whale swallowed him up for 3 days. Well, in my case, the streets swallowed me up. And when the streets spit me out, I landed out in Mason County College, Mason County Jail. And that then was the turn of my life, because God was saying to me, I'm putting you in a place to be still so I can give you what I need to give you. And today I realized what that was. That gift was for me to go back into my community and to the streets and minister to these young brothers and sisters and let them know that their life can change. And so March 2nd, 1989 was a day that I'll never forget, because that was my mission. That was the gift that he has given me, to get back on these streets and let people know that they can get away from drugs, they can get away from alcohol, they can get away from out there hustling and go the right way in life.
So 1989 is an important year.
Yes.
Larry, you've done a lot since then when it comes to this work. Anything in particular that's really spoken to you, or maybe more importantly, that you have seen real growth in either young men or women you've been working with? Maybe let me frame it a different way. What gives you the most hope when we're working to get kids out of these streets?
When I see kids at Kroger's or Bernard's or any place out in the streets, and they say, Mr. Johnson, thank you. Thank you for not giving up on me. I went to prison, but I always remember what you said, that if I can change, you can change. And when I see that, that gives me hope every day to the kids, the individuals that I talk to, and not just kids, adults also.
That's right.
I can show them hope through my conversation, through my love for them. See, they see the realness in you. You know, you can't fake that. And so when they see that, that's when trust comes in. That's when they'll give it all to you, because they say he believes in me, he trusts me. And so I'm gonna always give him that respect, wherever I may be, wherever I may see him. I'm gonna always give him that respect, and that's what my joy is. You know, it is when they come back to you and say thank you. Some of the knuckleheads when I worked at the Ingham County Youth Center, that I had to physically put down to the ground and tell them to calm down. Those same ones do the same thing.
That's right.
You know, so, we just got to show that we care. You know, not just talk about it, let our actions be it too. And I guarantee you things will start changing with a lot of these young people.
There, you said there's a lot of important pieces there, but I will tell you, I think I've seen this in Carlton Evans, right? A phenomenal local, both advocate and more importantly, facilitator in this city. We're doing work specifically through the Lansing Empowerment Network with him, which leads to our Lansing 360 work, right? Which is gun violence intervention and prevention. He said a powerful statement that we as a community and a collaborative can only move at the speed of trust. Right? You just said, it was about these kids trusting you.
Yeah.
Larry, I don't know that we in this city have always had the trust between each other that we need. And that's both in an organizational stance, that's in a government political stance, that's in a person-to-person stance, that's in the church, that's out of the church. Larry, how do we build the trust we need to see the change in our kids' lives that we truly want to see?
I'm going to keep it real with you, right?
Let's do it.
I believe that once you give your life to God, to Christ, right, and that you continue to let him orchestrate and let him give you that direction, a lot of things will change. I believe that when we talk about trusting each other, we have to show that in our meetings, in our different organizations, because everybody wants to be the head, And what I've been talking about lately, Justin, is that all these different groups out here, everybody wants their own thing. Everybody wants to be, but we need to come together. And once we come together, you'll see that trust would be a great part of that, because everybody has to trust in each other, right? And if we're doing that, just think about what the kids out there, when they see all of us together, they believe in each other. We can have them come in and they'll believe in us also. But they'll see a one group that stands for all.
We work through this piece of trust, right? One Lansing, one community.
Yeah.
You mentioned something I think is real important. We're often asking our kids to do things that we as adults are not willing to model, right? It's not just don't do drugs, don't drink, right? It's when I was growing up in the 90s in Lansing, it was red versus blue, right? It was Vice Lords and Gangster Disciples.
Yeah.
On the coasts, it was Bloods and Crips, right? There was a concern about retaliatory violence, which is actually something we're hearing today.
Yeah.
People act as though that is surprising, that young men would retaliate against each other when honor is questioned. Except, what do I see on the news every day? It's red and blue.
Yeah.
But now it's at a national level. But because it's Republicans and Democrats, it's okay to dehumanize each other. It's okay to retaliate. It's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
So we as adults set an example of dehumanizing each other at a national level, retaliate against each other, take legs out, knees out, and at least kill character. But then we as a community seem surprised when our young men do the same with the resources they have. Or let's be real, the lack of resources they have.
Yeah.
When it comes to retaliatory violence, emotionally, right, relationally, or physically, right, we certainly are hitting some epidemics when it comes to gun violence. We'll be talking more throughout this season about the work that's being done, right? You've certainly been a part of it. right? You've gone to the violence, to the damage. Let's talk a bit, if we could, about the humanity that's taken place in our young men's lives. Because I think too often we say, oh, another shooting. When reality is, that's one or two or three young men who have either lost their lives or lost their futures, unless we reach them. And I'll tell you this, Larry, I've shook more hands of young men who become our future promise scholars, and I read their names in newspapers that I don't want to read stories about.
Yeah.
Larry, these are real people. These are real young men who are valuable and beloved. How is it that we begin to change the conversation in this city to see our young men as ours?
You know, just I got to go back to 1995 when Dick Lord from United Way came to my office. I was fairly clean then. And he said to me, he says, Baltimore, Maryland has a program called Midnight Basketball. And he says, my wife told me about you. I know your background, I know your history, but I want to put a check in your hand. I want you to start Midnight Basketball here in Lansing, Michigan. And I said, you sure that's what you want to do? He said, yeah, I know your background. I know what you've been through. And so to make a long story short, we started, and we called it late night basketball. And it was from 10 to 2 a.m. in the morning. We had over 200 and something kids in the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? One police officer, because that's what I told them. I said, I want one police officer. And I made those guys, we had 10 teams. I made those guys responsible for this program. We did this for 8 weeks. The violence in the summer of Lansing, that summer, the violence was down 48%. I was able to have 6 guys turn their life around, put their guns up, and stop selling drugs to come along and work with me. And so what you just said is that we have to bring them in. We have to bring them in and show them something different. See, as long as we allow them to be in their neighborhoods and jump from house to house and let these guys 25, 22, 23 years old dictate their life to them. See, that's what they tell them. I'm going to put the gun in your hand. It's going to make you a man. But the flip side of that, they're not understanding that when you take somebody's life, that means you're taking your own life. And so I'm a firm believer, man. I don't care who they are. I don't care how many guns they got. I'm coming. Yeah. I'm going to give you that conversation. I'm going to show you. I'm going to help guys get jobs now through Burger King, Tropical Smoothie. I'm telling these guys, look, if you don't want to go to school, at least get you a job.
That's right.
That's going to get you off the streets.
That's right.
And so that's just the type of guy I am when it comes to dealing with these young folks, 12, 13 years old.
That's right.
You know, showing them another outlet.
Yeah.
You know, pulling them away from them guys that don't mean any good for them.
That's right.
Taking them under my wing. I take them to lunch. Yeah. We go bowling sometimes. I do little stuff like that, man, and just say, I care about you. And my phone is on 24/7. I get calls at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's my take on that. That we got to be there. We got to show them something different.
You know what that reminds me of, Larry? We have a mutual friend in Dr. Carl Taylor.
Yeah. Yes.
MSU sociology professor.
Yes.
One of the foremost authorities in youth and gang culture in the entire country. He's been on more national panels and conferences and work groups. He actually helped us when I was working on Baker Street 20-some years ago do our evaluation work. You've worked with him in all kinds of ways. Yes. Larry, 20 years ago, Doc told me a statement that has stuck with me, and I think you just laid out so perfectly. He said, Justin, every act of a young man is condoned by an older man. He said that may or may not be his old man.
Yeah.
That might be his grandpa. That might be an uncle. It might be the dude on the corner.
Yeah.
All right, that might be the dude on the video. It said every act is approved, blessed, exemplified by. And I think what we're finding and what you are, I think, hitting real importantly is that these young men need more positive men in their lives who both give a damn about them and demonstrate it, who are both willing to give them a hug and reprimand.
That's right.
Because, I mean, I've got a couple boys, and I know this. Young men need boundaries. Because if we don't have boundaries, we don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And we need to push against those boundaries.
That's right.
But when young men don't have any boundaries, right, what are they supposed to do?
That's right.
We've got social media in their ear, right? It used to be when we were younger, right? So if we're talking honor culture, which we're all from, right? Someone speaks ill about my name or my family, right? And there's a scuffle. Okay. But what if that's done in front of thousands of people publicly? And if that's done in social media, then what are our options when we see each other? Right? And so we're escalating to a violence level that our young men do not need to be a part of, but they're not sure what to do different because no one's shown them different. Larry, how do we get more men who care about these kids into action in this city?
That's the big problem right there, Justin. There's no more big brothers, big sisters. You know, these guys now, their time is more. I'm gonna tell you, this world today, man, all these different, these young people today rather play games, and not just 12, 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
You're talking about 20-something-year-olds,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
They rather play video games or just do nothing, stay on their cell phone. Back in the day, man, when we were coming up, there was big brothers and sisters. Now these guys want to be paid now. You know, and then they're still not going to give you the job that you need. How do we fix that? That's something I'm still working on. But I'm telling you right now, the veterans, the older guys that's in their 50s, 60s, we still got to utilize them right now. That's part of, I mean, that's something that I believe in. You know, with my organization, most of my guys are 40 to 60 years old. But they've been out there in the streets. They understand what it takes, right? And when we deal with our young people at the homeless shelters, we're working with the homeless shelters, we're doing different things. Man, it's a blessing when those little young kids, little young boys, when they see me, they gravitate to me, just grab me by my leg, and, oh, Larry, how you doing? Well, we miss you. And that just keeps me doing what I do. Because just that moment, I'm giving them hope every time they see me because they know I'm doing something good. So getting back to what you just said, that we got to some kind of way get our young people together and let them understand that they are our future, but also underneath them, we need you to come down and do something with those other young men and women that's going to be coming up soon to be our future. We need you to come down and say, hey, let me spend 4 or 5 hours, you know, with these individuals. So that's something that we really need to work on.
You know, I actually would you be up for going into a little bit about what Brotherhood Against Drugs has been doing?
Wow.
But more importantly, your vision for this work. Because, I mean, when I think about it, Larry, there's only a handful of organizations that can even do what you just laid out. Right? There's a concept that we've been working through, a lot of our colleagues, many that folks will hear on this season, right, about the credible messenger. Right? The credible messenger is the person that the audience we're talking to can actually receive information from. Right? I can speak in certain rooms and folks can hear me. But reality is I can go into other rooms and I'm not the one.
Yeah.
Right? Larry, you mentioned an important statement. Not only do we have these 40, 50, 60-year-old folks who are maybe willing, or we need to make them, or inspire them to take action, but especially when you have these folks who have been in the streets, right, who have been out the mud, right? There's a credible There's a credibility factor there that cannot be replicated, cannot be taught in school, cannot be learned in any university setting. But how is it that we begin to rally, maybe that's the word, and strengthen and put in position the folks that need to be in these kids' lives most? That was a really long question. What I'm trying to say is, how do we do what you just said? And how do we support Brotherhood Against Drugs?
You know, Justin, when God first put this on my heart, Jimmy Battles and myself, to start this organization, Brotherhood Against Drugs, I kept resisting, right? I didn't want people to know who I used to be, you know. And I remember just like yesterday, I was sitting in my cell by myself in Mason County College. I was sitting in my cell, and he was giving me this vision, and I kept resisting. He said, "You didn't care who saw you when you was out in the streets. Now I want you to go out there and plant a seed. I want you to go out there and deliver a message," right? And so when I started this organization, it was like Jimmy Battles and myself and two other individuals that we started this. We started going different places, doing speaking engagements in the schools, and then it started getting bigger and bigger. And then we started, and thanks to Kelly Dean, who I love to death, who started donating us a bus to take kids to the Detroit Lions and Detroit Pistons basketball games. So we would take 40 kids. And when I tell you, when those kids would just first get on the bus, and they said, "Oh man, there's TVs coming out the screen, out the ceiling," and then they would say, "There's a bathroom in here." You already saw that they're seeing something that they'd never been able to see before. But when you got to the stadium, and they looked at the stadium and said, "Oh my gosh," that was a moment that you could say that you're showing them something different. And the first thing I used to tell them, this too could be you one day. You want to play basketball? This too could be you one day. You want to play football? This too could be you one day. And so with my organization, man, we want to make it reality. We want to show them that this is real, right? We give out turkey baskets every year. We adopt 5 to 10 families for Christmas. We work at we do reading programs at the homeless angels. You know, and also we're doing rap sessions while the kids are doing the reading program. We got the parents doing a rap session, and so we want to keep everybody engaged together, right? This organization today, man, I got people that got so many different gifts that work with the homeless people. I got 2 people that work right there with the homeless people. I got people that work directly with the youth, with the Ingham County Youth Center. And so I have individuals that we know how to come together when the time is necessary to bring it all in and say, okay, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? You know, 4 years ago, we did a rally for helping people to register to vote. Okay? We brought the young people in. I brought a young man in that at the time he was 18 years old, but his message was powerful. You know, and so these are the things I'm saying that Brotherhood Against Drugs, we just don't sit back and let it fall in our laps.
That's right.
We go out there and get it. We go out there and be a service to our community.
Well, Larry, I think about one of the most forward-facing pieces is something that we just celebrated like a month ago in the backpack program,
Yes.
the back-to-school program,
Yes.
right, in honor of the saint,
Yes.
the mother of Lansing herself,
Yes.
Dr. Joan Jackson Johnson.
Yes.
Would you maybe let's say a bit about Joan first and her
Yes.
legacy, and then what that backpack program and back-to-school programs really become?
You know, Joan Jackson Johnson was just, she was a saint, man.
Yeah.
She was a gift from God, right? And what she's done in the community, she was a woman that it didn't matter what needs to be done. She didn't ask a lot of questions, and that's what I loved about her, right?
That's right.
She didn't ask a lot of. If she needed to see it if she needed it to get done, She made sure it was done.
That's right.
And one of the beautiful things that I'll never forget is that when I first met her, I didn't know how to read her. Right? You know, it was like she wasn't the one to always smile
That's
and
right.
and you would say something
right.
and she was just like, you know. And so I called one of my members that really knew her. And I said, I don't know if she likes me, you know. But the member said, no, Larry, she likes you because she talks about you, right? I said, well, she didn't show that, you know.
Right.
But she said, that's how she is.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
always serious, ready to get it done.
You could not break her.
No, you couldn't break her.
But if you got a smile from her, whew, you earned that.
You earned that.
You
That's
earned
right,
that.
Justin. That's right. And so 3 years ago, one of my members came to me and said, you know, we should honor her. We should honor her. And we should do a backpack giveaway.
Yeah.
And we started at Francis Park. We had about 800. We gave out 800 backpacks, so we had about 950 people in the park. And at that time, I said, man, this is not big enough.
Yeah.
I said, we need to go somewhere bigger.
Yeah.
And I said, let's take it back to the west side. And so we went to St. Joe Park. Last year, we gave out 1,000 backpacks. We had over 1,000, about 1,500 people in the park. And I want to thank you and Lansing Promise for being a part of that, man.
That's our privilege, Larry.
That was
that's
big,
our privilege.
but it just showed me that you believe in what we were doing. You know, and when you get that, you know, when you get the community coming in and saying we believe in what you're doing, and this is how we want to give. That's right.
That's
so
right.
we thank you for that.
Yeah.
This year, we gave out 1,200 backpacks. We had over 2,000 people in the park. My guy, Geronimo, gave out 780 something pair of shoes.
Shout out to Geronimo. What a ministry. What a
ministry,
service.
man.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
And then I had the barbers come in, and they did over 80 something free haircut.
And those kids were looking sharp coming out of that tent.
Oh,
they were
my
looking
goodness.
sharp.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we had the doctor come in, and she gave out 60-something physicals, sports physicals.
Beautiful.
And plus doing blood pressure.
Yeah.
But the thing that really stood out to me, right? Everybody had a good time. Over 2,000 people in the park.
Yeah.
No pushing, no shoving, no name calling.
That's right.
So it just showed me that it can be done.
Yeah.
But it has to be done in the right way, right?
That's right. Well, because you set a tone of love, you do set a tone of respect.
Yes.
Right? You are prayerful when you intend it.
Yes.
But also, I mean, something that you have demonstrated to me, Larry, I've learned a lot from you. You have demonstrated to me that doing the right thing at all times is always the right thing to do.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To the degree that when, or maybe even especially when it's hard,
Yes.
right? That we keep grinding.
Keep
And
grinding.
we keep moving forward because our kids deserve it and our families deserve it. Larry Johnson, what you are to this city cannot be said in words. Brother, thank you for being who you are. I thank the Lord for who you not only are, of course, who you are becoming, because he has plans for all of us, but what you mean to this city, to our kids, to their families, for the stuff that we talked about today, and to be honest, the stuff that's never seen. Brother, thank you.
Thank you, brother. Because, you know, from day one, we've been brothers, man.
That's right.
I love you to death, man. I love what you're doing, what you stand for. And together, we're gonna make this community bigger and better.
Amen.
Together,
Amen.
we will make some changes in this community. I look forward to that.
Amen.
God bless you, man.
Thank you, Larry.
Look. Okay, 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we're still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we're still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gonna leave it.
Been too many many moments of silence, too many lives have been lost to gun violence. My God, we need some guidance. It's the same city that can be so tragic, also produces a brother like Shabazz and bursts a man like magic. Why I'm Lansing, born and raised, 517 to the grave. We got culture in our veins, we take the reins. With reformation comes a promise, better future is upon us. You can doubt it like Thomas, but we gon' rise like Adonis, and ain't nobody gon' stop us. We gon' get better, this a letter to my city that we fed up. Ain't gon' let applying pressure until everybody gets it. They can't try us, they can't buy us, gentrify us. When it's coming to my city, man, I'm blue collar biased. They can't divide us, united we stand, like digits on a hand. Make it to the promised land, we coming up with a plan to make this a better place. I'm proud of Lansing, you can see it on my face. We gotta retrace and learn how to win this race.
51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gon' leave it. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gon' leave it. I ain't never seen a city sleep. You can really hit a city breathe. They be saying we ain't got culture, they just don't know what it really means. No, we gotta represent heavy underrated, yeah, we gotta make a scene. No shade to the other guys, but you can't deny we the one to be. Capital city, the map looking pretty when we on it. So community driven, the people we living with, loving each other. That's all that we seeking for, ain't no reason to need more. A lot of people saying go to the D for it, so we need to be seen more. Dream more, need a reason to be more, we just gotta believe more. I mold my style around the influences that I've witnessed. A new beginning, truer vision, it'll soon be finished. Endless inspiration from the people that I've known. Yes, I've grown to love the city as the city made me grown. Know whatever way you choosing for yourself to be expressed, there's a place that's meant for you so you can grow into your best. I can attest to its greatness with my chest, I'm here to say it. We will soon become the mecca of success. I'm expecting nothing. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city still breathing. Living in the moment, never gon' leave it. 51-7, take it to the grave. Legends never die, that's why we still awake. Sun keep beaming, city